January 31, 2024. This is the S&P 500 E-futures mini on the 2000 tick chart using the NinjaTrader 8 platform. This is what the charts look like today. It kind of had this big sell-off, consolidation, and then another sell-off. I kind of started this trend line or this trend channel from the day before because it fit pretty well. But knowing that it started from the day before, I was a little more careful, trusting any particular setup or trusting any key entry points, relying on this as a major component for a trade. So this is more just to let me know the context of, trading, main context that the bias is going down. You could have drawn in, I guess, other channels, but I tried to do that, and the one that fit looked like the one that was from yesterday. It was kind of a pretty volatile day. There was a lot of movement today, a lot of volume. Right around 5:15 Pacific Standard, which is about right here, there was the non-farm and farm employment change numbers, and then at 5:30, 15 minutes later, was the unemployment costs index, which is right about here. But then the big movers were the FOMC rate decision, which was, they kind of said what everybody already knew. They weren't going to change the interest rates. And then right here around 11:30 is when Fed Chairman Powell comes out to speak. And I just kind of watch this very carefully and try not to jump into any trades because it's very risky. You can tell as a frame of reference, this is at 11 o'clock and this is at 11:01. So you can see in a span of less than a minute to 2 minutes, it dropped or it moved 20 good points. And in between, there's these candles that are flashing up and down almost 10 full points. So that's really a good, quick way to lose money and to get chopped out. So even if your stops were really high, like if you had a 20-point stop, I mean that's just too large for me. I mean, if people out there do that, but I'm not going to do that because if you're wrong, it takes a big hit on your account. So this is how the charts look like today. And then I took a total of only one trade, but there are, I think, 3 other possible setups that I missed that I didn't take, but it's okay. So I'm going to go through the trades right now. So this is the pre-market. So I drew this as I drew this a little bit later, this red channel, but you can ignore it for now. This is the pre-market. It looks like it's going to be range bound, but I also know that today is the FOMC rate decision, as well as Jerome Powell is going to come out and give some color. That always moves the market, so I was just very, very careful. So I'm just drawing my trend channels and just watching carefully. You do have a new low, first entry short. Technically, you have a second entry short right here, but it's in the pre-market, and I don't trade the pre-market. Prices continue moving up. This is where I thought this red trend line actually fit pretty well. And I turned it into a channel and it looked like it fit pretty well as well. I mean, it negates this and this as, the start of the channel, but this just fit really, really nicely. So I kind of played it off of there. So it started with a new high. It created a first entry long pullback. You don't get a second entry long till about right here. But this second entry long is below the EMA on a clearly bearish bias is starting to trend down. It's close to the bottom of the pre-market range. I mean, technically you could draw the pre-market all the way down to here, but it was just something to keep it aware of. And as it pushed up, it hit and it got rejected by the EMA. And that's actually where I took my one and only trade. It confirmed the failed first entry long, second entry long failure. So the failed second entry long. And then this higher low looks like it's about to fail. Excuse me, this lower high, is about to confirm the failure. And it's kind of staying tightly within this green channel, which I didn't trust too much yet, but I like the signal bar here. So I entered and I was able to scalp out before it reached the bottom because I didn't want to push it past this bottom and not really even past this bottom. So I was able to get a quick scalp. Price then continue moving. It has an overshoot here, but it's still obeying the green channel all the way down. Now it breaks out. So I'm wondering if it's going to come back down and test the bottom of this green channel. So it breaks out, makes one attempt up, pull back. Here it's about to make a second attempt up, kind of chops around. As soon as I see this, I'm not that eager to think about going short necessarily because, excuse me, it's a little consolidating. It's consolidating. It wants to come back and test this. It's one attempt up, pull back. This could be the second attempt up. So I need to see a really clean setup. It's a new low here. It's a first entry short. You don't have a second entry short till about right here. The second entry short it's rejected by the EMA. It's potentially at the top of this trading range. You could consider it as a triple test, one push up, a second push up, and a third push up. This is a really nice signal bar, but I just felt there wasn't any real room to scalp out before it hit this clear support here, because there's like 5 to 6 candles here that are respecting some kind of support here. Technically, the low is right here, but nothing that says that this couldn't be a tighter trading range where this dotted line is and the solid line is. So I thought the trade is possible, but it just felt very iffy. So looked like it would have worked though, but you don't know that in real time. Prices then continue chopping. It's obeying and respecting the EMA all the way down. And it kind of looks like it's in another trading range right here. So I actually had at one time drawn a trading range here and a trading range here. Then I just deleted it and created this bigger two-tier trading range. It's just very, very choppy here. There's a bunch of second entries, but that doesn't mean they're good setups. Breaks out. And here I actually see another setup. It's a new low here. It's a first entry short, pullback. It's a second entry short. Now this second entry short hasn't failed yet, but I suspect it's about to fail. I also saw this as a new high, first entry long, pullback. It hasn't confirmed and created a second entry long. So I thought, okay, if it all depends on what this next candle does. There's 2 key entry points, but I don't like that it's below the EMA because the EMA is showing some kind of strength in pushing and keeping prices down. And I wanted the signal bar because this is a good signal bar for the second entry short, but then this failure occurred or potential failure. And then this first entry, second entry, potentially second entry long. I just wanted to be a little more bullish and not close below the EMA. And there's just barely enough room to scalp out to the top here. This really is a trading range. So it looked like it would have worked, at least for maybe a quick scalp, but if just I'm okay skipping this because it has things going against it as well. Prices then continue chopping, consolidates, and then starts moving down again. So clearly we're in sell-off mode, but that doesn't mean when the FOMC rate decision comes up, something crazy might happen, and it kind of does. So then it moves down, it consolidates right here. So it's a new low. It's a first entry short, second entry short. Here creates a lower high. Now it's again in a possible trading range. Now it's a first entry short, second entry short. EMA is holding prices down. The thing that kind of gave me pause was it didn't break below this previous candle. If this previous candle had actually been a little bit higher and this broke below or at least matched the bottom, because this is a very good, strong bearish bar, matched the bottom, that I would have felt maybe there is a trade here because there's just barely enough to, scalp out for a quick point before you potentially hit the bottom. But since it kind of didn't quite do that, I just didn't really like it. And look, if you did take this trade, you would have, for me, I would have probably gotten stopped out probably by this candle, and I would not have gotten my scalp. Then, of course, then it goes in your direction, of course. There's a new high here. It's a first entry long, second entry long. I also saw it as a visual first entry long, second entry long here. But this is a really good signal bar to go second entry long. But it's and there's enough room for the EMA, but it feels like it's counter trend trading to this very clearly bearish downtrend. You could argue that there is a bunch of support here and there's enough momentum to push it back up to here. But whether you treated this as a range, which I kind of did, you can't negate the fact that even though the EMA is kind of keeping prices down, there's enough room. It doesn't mean that it would push up to it and then come back down. So I just wasn't sure, so I had to leave it alone. Prices then continue moving up. First entry long, second entry long, but there's a bad signal bar. And it moves up on this yellow channel going all the way up. Here, I think there's a possible trade that I didn't take though. So it's a new high, it's a first entry long pullback, confirms and creates a second entry long here, pushes up. Here, it creates a failure on your second entry long. So this is a possible trade. It also, if you drew the channel like I did, it would have been one touch, kind of a break over, and then another touch. So it's a 3-touch confirmation. There's just barely enough room to quickly get a scalp. And, excuse me. They just had a coughing fit. So as I was saying, there's a new high. It's a first entry long pullback, second entry long, a confirmed failed second entry long. It's a pretty good signal bar. This is actually, showing that there's kind of strength pushing down. And I think it was a possible trade because you have enough room to scalp out. Didn't take this trade though, and it looked like it would have worked out. And if you had a runner, probably would have been a pretty nice runner. Probably would have gotten out down to here. which would have been about 4 points. Prices then continued chopping. It's the first break of this green channel. Made one attempt down, second attempt down. So maybe the downtrend has played out, but this could also be seen as one push and one attempt down. So this is a new low. It's the first entry short, second entry short, pull back, and it creates what I think is a higher low. Now in real time, I noticed a higher low, but I wasn't really sure because I wanted it to come down and touch the EMA, but it didn't. So it's a little bit high, but it closed pretty strongly. And at this point, I was thinking I am potentially in some kind of trading range. I didn't have it all the way up here though, but I did see it as some kind of support here. And it is the first break. So I saw this as one leg up, pull back. This could be a second leg up. So I saw this, but I wasn't 100% sure. And I just had to kind of wait and watch. And it kind of course, it works out when I'm, hesitate. So this is a possible trade I think could have been taken. On context-wise, it is pushing. Let's see if it's even a measured move. So it's one leg here, two legs. So I actually already exceeded the measure move, and there's already so much momentum pushing it upwards. There might be enough just for a quick scalp. And in this case, there was more than just a quick scalp. It would have been a few points more. Prices then continue down. I saw a new high here. It's a first entry long pullback. This is a second entry long, but this body is doji, so I wasn't too keen on it. I mean, it's a possible trade, I thought, but the trigger bar engulfed this signal bar. The problem was this signal bar, if it had been green or closed bullish, then I think I would have tried to take this trade. But since it closed bearish, and then this one candle here looked a little indecisive, I had to skip this. But if you're more aggressive, you could have just seen it as one push up and a potential second push up. However, there's conflicting thoughts because this orange trend wants to make a new high. So it's first attempt up. This could be the start of a second attempt. But this green channel also wants to make a new low. So this could be the first attempt down. It made the new low, but this is a little indecisive. So I wasn't sure and I had to leave it alone. Then prices continue moving up. And it falls into this yellow channel. It breaks out and it starts pushing up again. It's very, very choppy right here. You do have a new low. First entry short, second entry short. There's a good signal bar for second entry short, but it's a kind of EMA is kind of flattening out, but it's a little bit confusing for me to feel trusting that this is going to continue downwards because it just came from this really big push up. So thinking it's going to push all the way back down to recover it is a little iffy, especially when the previous price action was all this push up. So here you do have a second entry short and a second entry short failure, but unless you took it on the engulfing, it's risky, I think, to take it after the close. Prices then continue moving up. It forms and moves on this green channel and it breaks down and consolidates in this blue channel. And this is right around 10:30. And the FOMC rate decision is coming out in 30 minutes. So I'm more just very, very cautious not to take any trades. And as you can see from 10:40, this is about 10:40 to about 11 o'clock. That's 20 solid minutes of very, very slow candle moving because everybody is waiting to see what happens. And then as you can see, right at around 11, this is 11 o'clock. This is still 11 o'clock. This is 11 o'clock, 11 o'clock, 11 o'clock. So this in the span of 1 minute, you see about a 20-point move. And it's just very, very choppy. Good way to lose money. It's also like I guess, a possible way to make a lot of money, but it's a high risk, high reward. And why do that? Then prices continue chopping. So this squared area is kind of like don't trade in here because it's just, this is only about 5 minutes and it's already pretty crazy. And each time there's an FOMC meeting, it doesn't necessarily look like this. It could be really wild in the other direction, chop like crazy. So just because it looks like this one time and you might have made profit trading it, doesn't mean it's going to happen again. I'm just very careful and very leery. And even afterwards, I know in about 30 minutes, Fed Chairman Powell is going to come out and add some color. So here, I'm looking for setups, but I am not going to take them just because I don't like, that time frame. And knowing that he's going to come out and whatever he says, market reacts in various ways. I saw this in new low, so first entry short, second entry short. This is a good signal bar, but as you can see, this is right around 11:30 when he's going to start talking. So I don't want to take any trades here, but it's just marked for myself. Prices then continue moving up. So this is when he's starting to talk, answer questions. So he's still talking here. And right about here, let's say about 8 to 9 minutes in, he starts answering questions. And this could also really move the markets because the questions could add a lot of color and insight to what the Fed and the Fed presidents are thinking. So I'm just very careful. And as you can see, the market reacted positively, kind of re-entering the pre-market range, which wasn't really that important or didn't really come into play all that much. So again, I'm just watching. It moves up in this yellow channel. I don't really see anything that I like. I do see a new high here. It's a first entry long pullback. It's a second entry long here. And I'm watching to see if it's going to respect the EMA because it already broke down strongly and made 3 candles underneath. And here's a rejection. So it's a failed second entry long. I thought this was almost set up. The thing is, this isn't a very good signal bar. It's too bullish. It needed to close bearish. EMA is starting to hold prices down. But this trigger bar, since it engulfed this candle, you would have to taken it on the engulfing. Otherwise, if you wait for this to close, this candle is just too large. It's like almost 4 points to try to take a trade. And that's just a huge risk. Prices then continue moving down. This is him still talking. I think he's about to wrap it up. I do see this new low. It's a first entry short pullback. This is what I thought a possible trade was. It's a second entry short right here. It's a break of this green channel. It made 1 push up. Now it looked like it's trying to make a second push up. And it looked like it just barely pushed up. And when it came down like this, I thought there might have been a possible trade. I just didn't like that this close. So this confirms a second entry short. I just didn't like that this close was bullish. But I think there was a trade here because you could say it's 1 push down. And then this could be the second attempt down to test the lows of this green channel. And I believe he was about done talking and people are digesting what he said. And so if you did take an entry, you'd have to live and sit through this noise before it starts moving in your direction. And then prices then continue moving down. Excuse me. Falls into this yellow channel, and this is a very strong downtrend, but unfortunately, I didn't see any clear way to enter safely. You could argue for maybe this one, except it's far from the EMA. The bottom of the channel is more confirmed than the top of the channel. So if it was roles reversed and there was a bunch of touches up here, then I would have felt this is a good trade to have taken. But since it was down here, you're pretty sure of the support at the bottom, but the top is like only maybe 1 touch, 2 touch, 3 touch. You could argue for a 4th touch, but I saw it more as 1 big touch here, 2, and 3. It would give me more confidence that the EMA was a little bit closer and tighter. And prices then continue moving down. And finally, there's a break and it starts moving back up. So it's a first entry short. Technically, you have a second entry short here. It's a bad signal bar though. It gets choppy, falls into this consolidation range, this consolidation trading range. I don't really see anything that I like particularly. There is, you could argue there's like second entry longs here, but seeing as what played out today, I was okay not taking any more trades, but just watching carefully. Breaks out, and I think this failed breakout might fail, or this might be a failed breakout. So it does kind of push back in. So it is a true failed breakout, but where would I have taken my trade? There's a new low here. Say you don't really have a first entry, you only have a first entry short. So you don't have a second entry short. I needed one of these candles to tick 1 tick lower to have my second entry short. You could argue that there is 2 legs up, 1 leg up here, and a second leg. That is valid, and that's true, but I just wanted a little bit more clarity, a little more confirmation, especially with my experience level. And prices then continue moving down. So it's 1 push up, and it looked like it got rejected, and then second push down. So it's 1. This could be counted as a lower high, but this is a good candle. It's just too big. This is a huge risk. It pushed all the way up. Now it's pushing all the way back down. So there is potential trade here if you're really more aggressive than I was. And prices then continue moving down, falls into this orange channel, drops, and I see this, but it's too late in the day now. So I did see this micro triple bottom here. I count this as a new low, first entry short, pull back, second entry short. This is a good setup. It's a break of this orange channel. It looked like I made 1 attempt down. This could be the second attempt down, but it's a little late in the day because it's already at 12:43. This candle, I wasn't too hot on it. It could work out because you don't know, this is all you see right now. Potential top of the trading range. Let's see, about something like this. But it kind of feels like it's at the middle now. If it was tighter to the EMA, then I think there might have been a trade there, except for the fact that it's so late in the day. Then prices then continue chopping, and this is where it kind of gets super volatile. So what we're looking at is the last 10 minutes right here. Starting from here, it's 12:50. So this is 10 minutes of price action all the way into the close. And you could tell how much choppiness there was. There's people closing out their trades, etc. And so this is only 10 minutes as compared to the rest of the day. So it's always kind of a cautionary advice to be very careful during the last 10 minutes, unless you're already in a trade and you're managing a runner or something. I don't enter a new trade, probably, with 30 minutes left, or I'm just very careful. It would have to be a super bulletproof setup for me to even consider something after that time frame, and definitely after 1250. So that's all I saw the trades today. It was a lot more price action for sure, a lot more volume than the past previous few days. So only was able to get out one good trade, and then there was probably 2 or 3 other possible trades that unfortunately was not able to get. So hopefully that was helpful.